Welcome to Camerademic. This is the first official episode, even though I've already filmed an episode for the EOS R, the unboxing and all that, which I probably, from a technical point of view, should put before this comparison here. But you guys already know now that I've already done that. So let's make this the first official episode of Camerademic. Now, if you've been to my other channel, my main channel, the Faith Chase channel, you would have seen that about 6 to 8 weeks ago, I did a review on the EOS R. I did actually 2 different videos on the EOS R with the leak spec footage and, can't speak today, specifications on that particular camera. And I told you guys once I got the camera in my hand that I would do a proper review and do some other goodies. So that's what I'm doing. But the first thing today, what I want to do while I had the opportunity to do so, is I wanted to compare the Canon EOS R with the Canon M50. Now, guys, needless to say, they're both mirrorless cameras. I'm sure you guys already know this. But as someone who's been using the M50 and now I've had the opportunity to use the EOS R, I kind of want to give my opinion about these 2 cameras and just kind of give you guys a little bit of info that may help you in making a decision as to whether you want to get the EOS R or the Canon M50. All right, so let's talk about the weight and the size factor. They're both mirrorless cameras, but obviously this is your full frame on the EOS R, and this here obviously has the smaller APS-C sensor. So basically you're going to get that full frame, that nice bokeh, that kind of look that a lot of people love, and a bit more of that, a bit more shallow depth of field with the EOS R being a full frame. And you're also going to get better reaction in low light because it's a full frame. It's going to let more light into the sensor. So that's pretty cool. But that being said, the M50, now you're still, especially depending on which lens you're using, you can still get some nice bokeh with this camera right here. And also, the lighting it's not the best in low light, but it is definitely usable. And I have used it, even shot at night with it, and got some great results. So it's obviously about your settings. You've got to know what settings to use, and obviously using the right lens that's going to allow the most light in. So basically, and I always say this to everyone, like, there's no such thing to me as the perfect camera, but it really boils down to what is the perfect camera for you. And that can be based on a few different things, like what is your budget, number one, what can you afford? That is a big decision-making factor. If you can't afford the EOS R, maybe you're looking for something in a better price bracket that will still give you a lot of the features that the EOS R has at a better price point, then I would personally say that I can vouch for the M50 and tell you that this bad boy is kind of like a baby EOS R. That's how I feel about it. And I basically was surprised, because when you first, when the M50 first came out, there was a lot of hate, and it's kind of the same thing with the EOS R. There's a lot of people hating on these cameras. But I tell you what, one of the things I love about the EOS R, for starters, is it's super light. Okay, it's really small, it's compact, and all the things that, say, my 70D or my 6D, all these, other cameras that I have, like, this thing will do it. This thing will do it. This thing shoots, firstly, you're going to get that 1080. You're going to get it, you can do 24 frames per second. You can do 60 frames per second. So you've got that wired in. So, you already got that 1080 happening. But then you also, as a surprise little bonus, and if you look at it as a surprise little bonus instead of thinking of it as anything else other than that, you actually come to appreciate that this camera also does shoot 4K. It can shoot 4K. And yeah, there's this crop thing, and the EOS R also has a crop. But one of the differences between these two in regards to that said 4K is that this bad boy has the dual pixel autofocus, okay, with the 4K. This camera does not have the dual pixel autofocus with the 4K, but it uses the contrast focusing, which, depending on what your situation is, it can work. I have used it effectively. I've shot a whole video because I wanted to test it. I wanted to see how was the focus without the dual pixel, and I'll put some footage on in this that you can see and just see what that 4K footage looked like. But basically, I did it. I shot it with the contrast focusing. It held focus with my face. And it didn't look too bad whatsoever. And the quality of the 4K that comes out of this camera is pretty freaking good. Let me tell you, I am impressed with this camera. Now, if you put this camera on a tripod, guess what? This is sitting there on a tripod. You get that focus locked in, and you're going to be able to shoot really beautiful 4K with this camera. All right. Now, I've got the 10-18 on there at the moment, and that help solve that little crop problem that people complain about. You get you a 10-18 mil lens, crop factor. What crop factor? It's not even a problem. You get that nice wide view that you're looking for. And the same with the EOS R. With that crop factor, I use a 10-18 mil on there, and I have no problems with getting the perfect, just that wide view, getting things the way that you would expect if you didn't have that crop factor. But so the crop factor to me is not a crop factor, if you know what I mean. It's just not a factor to me. Not a problem. And the cool thing about it, if you think about it from a positive point of view, what you do get is you get a little bit extra zoom action. So if you're shooting somewhere, like I shot some footage, and I think I'll put that in this video as well, where that crop factor came in handy. Like I was actually shooting some boats and ferries out in the water, and they were actually pretty far away. But as soon as I popped on the 18-55, I think it was it 18-50, 18-55 mil lens, and I cranked that bad boy up, and with that extra crop, and there's other little tricks that you can do as well to get it to crop in a little bit more. For example, if you turn on the digital IS, okay, which is image stabilization that both of these cameras have, and you put it on extended, or even just the regular setting for the digital IS, it will actually crop even more, okay? So you can get even more of a zoom, all right? So that's a little tip for you if you want to squeeze out a little extra zoom. So the way to get the most zoom factor out of these cameras, pop it in 4K and go ahead and smash that freaking digital IS action, and you're gonna get more of a zoom. So there's times when you want to have that zoom. That crop is a gift in a lot of situations, and you can manage it. Like I said, turn off your digital IS, turn it back off, and put it in 1080 and use a 10-by-18. Dude, like, it's not as big of a deal as everyone's making it out to be. So, but look, the EOS R, it's not that heavy, but is definitely noticeably more heavy than the M50, which is pretty obvious. Now, I'll bring the camera in and do a little close-up so you can see. So that's the size difference kind of from that view, and I'll place them down like this, and you can see that they're obviously different. There's a difference in size there, but they're both capable cameras, and that's the thing. When I talk about, and guys, look, I'm going to talk about this mainly, like, for you, for you guys that don't know, video, film, that side of things is more where I like to talk about cameras, the DSLRs. That's more of my side of things that I really love these days. In the past, yeah, look, I've done lots of photography and stuff, but these days I just mainly, I love video, I love filming. So that's kind of the angle and the perspective I'm coming when I'm spitting out the different specs and things from my perspective as a filmmaker. That's kind of where I'm coming at with this. So to me, the video quality that comes out of both of these cameras, the 1080, it looks juicy on both of these. It's really nice. It's really clear. I personally think that it has a very nice image on both of these. And even the 4K, guys, you can't go wrong shooting 4K with either of these cameras. Like I said, make the little tweaks that you need to cut down on that crop. But if you do that, beautiful, beautiful imagery from both of these. Now, here's the other thing that's another bonus. Again, look at it as a bonus. Both of these cameras will do 120 frames per second. But, again, it's at 720p. Okay? But look at it as a bonus. Don't think about, you gotta find the positives and the negatives, you know what I mean? And depending on your situation, maybe 720 is all you really need. All right, like most of us, I'm a vlogger, and a lot of people who are probably watching this may be vlogging or uploading videos to YouTube. Look, if you're uploading this to social media, okay, like your videos and things like that, that 720 is definitely usable. You gotta remember, a lot of people who are watching videos are gonna be watching from a smartphone, you know, from their iPad and things like that. So, you know, even the people who are watching from their desktop and things like that, a lot of people aren't going to be watching it at 4K anyways. Okay, you got to think about this. Realistically, most people do not watch content at 4K for lots of reasons. Maybe their, you know, monitors or whatever just don't even really support 4K. Or most likely the thing that makes people not really want to watch things in 4K is because depending on your internet, your broadband, you might not even be able to stream it smoothly without all the buffering going on and all that. And so you're going to want to kick it down to 1080 where you got a bit more of a smooth flow happening with your stream. I know that me personally, if something's in 4K, I'll probably go down to maybe about 1440. But most of the time it'll be at 1080. But if I do, I very rarely would do 4K just because of that buffering issue. The internet where I'm at isn't the best. But if I need to stream something at 4K just to see the quality, you know, for a particular reason, I'll actually switch over to my cell phone, which you go to my main channel and you'll actually know why. I've done a little video on that. But basically the short version is that you can actually get faster speeds with your cell phone than you can actually with your broadband, your landline, you know. And yeah, that's just a little information for you. So, but guys, look, my ear's itching. Don't mind me. Anyways, guys, I think the other cool things about both of these cameras, which a lot of people love, is the flip screen. Okay, they both have the flip screen, aka selfie screen. So that is also really cool that you can do that. Okay, the dual pixel autofocus again is just on point. Both of these, it's snappy and it's quick. And that's what you want with autofocus. I personally believe that Canon's dual pixel autofocus is the best autofocusing system in the game right now as far as DSLRs go. And that's my opinion. And guys, even though I am a Canon lover, just so you know, when I'm coming and spitting this information to you guys, I will always promise you to be fair and correct with everything I say. So, you know, and I'll be the first to tell you that, yeah, the Sony a7 III obviously has a lot of features that neither of these cameras do have, like dual card slots or being able to shoot 120 at 1080 and things like that. But what I will say to you is that Canon has the best color science, period. That's fact, okay? And I don't think there's anyone on the planet who would argue that point. I also don't think anyone would argue the point about the autofocus, like I said. As far as I'm concerned, and probably most anyone else out there who's being truly fair and honest about it, no one can touch Canon's dual pixel autofocus as well. The other thing that I like about Canon is also the menus. Okay, on the touch screen, just the menu system and everything is just really simple. It's really easy to use. Like anyone, whether you're a beginner, a first timer using Canon, or someone who's an expert, just navigating through each of the scenes is just so straightforward, and it's just really easy. And I love that about Canon. I love the live view when you're wanting to record and everything, and you still have access to the most important things that you need. It's just really straightforward and well thought out, and I love that about Canon. I actually was playing with the Sony a7 III a while back, and I just felt that it just didn't really work and respond as well as the Canon system does. And yeah, I just like the way it looks. Even just Canon, the way it just looks smooth, and it's easy, and it's just great. So another selling point, you know. Now there's also workarounds, guys. Like I know people always talk about having only one card slot, and this is what I say to you, and this might be something that you may find useful, because there is a workaround for that. Okay, you can get you an external monitor / backup system, recorder that fits on your camera, and the cool thing about it is it's going to give you a bigger view of whatever it is that you're looking at. Okay, the other cool thing is that you're going to be able to record and back up to a hard drive. Okay, so now think about that. That's really cool. Imagine being able to not have to worry about your 64 gig or your 32 gig, 120 gig, whatever gig SD card that you're using. Imagine being able to know that you have the luxury of having just as much space as you could possibly need, because you have a external hard drive that you could actually record to directly and back everything up with. So, there's other benefits as well. For example, if you're using the EOS R, you can also ProRes that bad boy out straight into there. And guys, if you really want to have full control over getting the most out of your video footage, ProRes is definitely the way to go. And so that's another benefit of having that monitor on there. So think of the positives. Yes, it is an expense, but once you buy it, you've got it, and that's it. And then you get to reap all the benefits of having that monitor. Plus, and look, the Canon screens, even though they're kind of small, obviously, because they're on the back of a camera, they're really usable. I mean, from here, I can see that screen. I can see if I'm centered and all that, which is really cool. I can see if I'm in focus. I can see if it's recording. I can see what my ISO and my f-stops and all that info. I can see it from here, which is really cool. But when you have the bigger screen, you can just see everything even, more so that much easier. And personally, I love having the big screen on the top for recording, especially when you're out and you're recording something like a music video or a wedding or something like that. There's benefits to it. So I say to anyone who says, "Oh, don't get this camera because it only has one card slot," I say, come on, guys. I don't think it is a deal breaker. And personally, from my experience, I have never had an SD card just fail on me during recording or anything like that. I've not had that happen. So I think the odds, especially when you've got SanDisk, reputable companies like that, Sony makes really good SD cards as well. Like they're on top of their game, and I'm not saying that they can't fail, because I know some people have had them fail. But that being said, the odds of it failing is kind of minute compared with the odds of it actually working to your favor. Like I said, years of shooting with SD cards, and I haven't had that happen. So it's like anything. If something's going to break and fail, it's going to happen. I mean, there's people who've had their Sony a7 III break right off the back, and we're talking about the whole camera. So things happen, right? So I don't think you should hate on a whole camera just because something like that. You got to remember, these cameras were made for a specific market in terms of where they're at in Canon's kind of, scale of what, Canon's cameras, like where they're actually placed, like they're meant to be in a certain area. So this is not meant to be a 1DX2 or something like that replacement. And if you let Canon tell you, they say these aren't really meant to be replacements of any DSLR. They're more like complementing what you already have in your EOS kind of family. It's a complementing thing. Think about it like that. I love it when you can find the positives in the negatives. You know what I mean? That's a better way to look at these things. And personally, I just think that this camera right here, the EOS R, offers a lot. There's some groundbreaking things that Canon has tried to put in here and implement, which I think is pretty cool. Personally, I love this new freaking bar in the back. I absolutely love that bar. I use it for my ISO settings, and it is freaking cool to be able to switch with that. You've also got, now I've got the adapter in here that also has the ring here, that, as you know, the new RF lenses come with the ring where you can also put settings and customize it so you can get your ISO and things like that. And so I've got the adapter that allows me to do that with all my EF and EF-S lenses. And that's the cool thing with both of these cameras right here as well, guys. I put the adapter on the M50, I put the adapter on the EOS R, and suddenly I can use all of my EF and EF-S lenses. Now, that is freaking cool. And the best thing about it is that both of them respond perfectly with, the autofocus, and everything is on point. So you don't lose any of that functionality, but you get the benefits of using lenses that you already own, that you already know, that you already love. That is freaking just cool. So that is kind of the main things. Both these cameras, this camera here, the M50, has tons of just potential to me. I think it's an underrated camera. Okay, I really do. Your focus points, this bad boy here has tons of focus points, and this beast right here has over 5,000 focus points. Like, it's just off the charts. But both of these cameras are just really awesome. This has, by the way, I think it's like about 145 focus points or something like that. So excellent cameras, excellent video footage. And even if you are using it for photography, you can get some really great shots from either of these cameras. I love it. I love the new mirrorless range. My thoughts in conclusion, because I'll do more reviews on both of these cameras in depth on a one-on-one and things like that, show you footage between the two and stuff like that. But this is what I want to say in conclusion. All right, if your needs right now are, you just need something that is lightweight, that you can pick up, that you can just kind of run and gun, that you can just count on to know that when you need to get that shot and you need it to be in focus, that you can do it, no questions asked, it's not going to freaking be too heavy to carry around and shoot all day, then the M50 is beautiful and it's great value. You can grab one of these bad boys. I think you can grab it kitted with a lens and everything for only around maybe $600 in the States right now, about $600 in the States, and in Australia it's probably around $800 or something like that. So great value at the moment. It depends where you shop as well, because if you go on eBay, you can probably even snag even a better deal for this particular camera. The EOS R, on the other hand, if you want to have that full frame awesomeness because you like to shoot in situations where you need that extra bit of light, if you want to be able to have access to these new cool features because it just makes your workflow a lot easier, if you need if you just need to have that full frame because you want to have that extra kind of depth of field look, that more cinematic type look and all that, then I say you can't go wrong with the EOS R. Both of these are going to do 1080-60. Both of them are going to do your 1080-24. Both of them do 4K at 24. What else do you want? You know what I mean? So these are great tools, and I think that it just really depends on your budget and what your needs are. But at the end of the day, Canon, you can count on Canon, and that's another really good selling point. And this one's weather sealed. I'm not sure if the M50 is really necessarily weather sealed, but I've had no problems with it, and I've shot it in a few different situations unexpectedly, you know, when it started drizzling or a few things, and hey, the camera is just perfect. So I personally vouch for Canon, and I don't know what that means to you guys, but personally I do believe in Canon and their products. Yes, there is things that they could have done that would have added to the value of these cameras, and could have totally probably killed A7, you know, Sony's A7 III by adding just a couple of those things in particular. But it is what it is. If you take it for what it offers and what it, you know, what it's meant to offer, and you look at the other things as added bonuses, you find the workarounds that you need to get through the things that if you absolutely need to have 2 SIM cards, well, guess what? I mean, sorry, 2 SD card slots. Well, let me tell you, the monitor situation is not a bad thing, and I think that's a pretty cool workaround. Battery life on the EOS R is pretty good. It uses the standard, you know, very popular Canon batteries that you can get in your, that you probably already have, matter of fact, from your 70Ds or your 80Ds, your 6Ds, 5Ds, things like that. So that is a bonus with this. The battery life on here, you know what, surprisingly, even though it's a smaller battery and depends on what you're doing, I actually get pretty good battery life from the M50. Not as great as, say, the EOS R, but, you know, depending on what you're shooting, it will get you through what you need to get it through, but it doesn't hurt to have extra batteries with any camera that you have. You know, just have those spares. And yeah, I think that's the main kind of things to point out with these 2 cameras. This one's a little heavier, this one's a little more compact. You know, so budget depends on your budget, depends on what your needs are, but you can't go wrong with either of these. The quality is on point, and you get the reliability of knowing that you've got a Canon system that has great autofocus and that you can count on, and the color science, without having to do tons of freaking grading. I don't know about you guys, but I hate having to do tons of color grading. You can count on these 2 cameras right here to give you a beautiful picture just straight out the camera. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching this first episode of Camerademic. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, please subscribe, smash the notification button, and, you know, so you don't miss out on any uploads. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. It is helpful. If you didn't like it, please be a little bit patient with me. This is the first episode, and you know what? I haven't eaten anything since last night. I'm gonna rectify that after this, but if you have to press a dislike button, remember to always press it twice. All right, guys, I love you. Much love. Enjoy your day, your week, your night, wherever you are in the world, and remember to live each moment to the fullest.